Well, yeah. Well, for everybody who's going to be watching live and listening, this is the wonderful Kayla Jean Oxendine. Yeah, thank you for coming through.
That's
Yeah,
so
really, 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 really thank you for coming through because, like, we were saying right now too. Know me since like I was in middle school. I think eighth grade. I was in eighth grade when you started hanging out with Emma.
hmm
So yeah, it's cool to finally have a chance to do something like this too after all those years. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm so happy to be here. You just really don't know. I'm just so happy, man. To,
uh,
to and I'm gonna say this for your listeners to see you grow up from eighth grade and now into manhood and to see there's all the stuff that we go through. First of all, in Robinson County. Second of
hmm
all, at Purnell Swed. Third of
hmm
all, just being around here and all the stuff that we've been through in life and that we've accomplished in life. And so I want to start this off by just saying how happy I am to see
hmm
your growth as a man. So
Thank you.
thanks for being a part of my life.
Thank you, and I am thankful because you're always one of the good friends I feel. I mean that my sister ever had. Like solid friends. So
Thank
I do appreciate that. Um, like for real. Thank you. Um,
We're so
so
supportive.
thank you. That means I don't know. It's hard, especially because when you think of coming up from Purnell. Like there's a lot of I tell when people ask me like, oh, do you know anybody who's passed away? It's like I know actually quite a few, bro. Like my age type
Many.
shit. Type shit. Like wow. Wow. Like yeah. So to have you guys still around and we're all supporting each other and trying to do all these different things is cool. It's cool. So for people who may not know, please tell them a little some of the stuff that you be into and what you do here on a day to day.
Okay, so my name is Kayla Jean, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a podcast called The Essentials with Charlotte and Kayla Jean, where we talk about what dating's really like, what's how women can be here, be out in the world dating, and also take care of themselves in the process, and like learning to respect their own boundaries, learning to just navigate the dating world. So that's one part of what I do. The other part is I'm a therapist. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I'm also for those who are into it, I'm also a spiritual healer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do a lot of energetic healing for people, and I also do like acting and film and stuff like that. So I've just got done doing the Lost Colony this summer. The
Mm-hmm.
Lost Colony is in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and it is the longest running symphonic outdoor drama in U.S. history.
Oh.
There's only been two times that they have not ran this show. Um, that was during the Great Depression and the pandemic. So
Mm.
only 2 years that they didn't run the show, and that's when catastrophe hits. And what that was about was the first contact of settlers meeting Native Americans. And this was the first year that they actually required it to be Native Americans, authentic Native Americans playing the Native roles.
That's cool.
So that was um, a lot. It was interesting. It was a lot. You know, progress hurts, change hurts. So had to deal with a lot of that. So I guess I'm also a social justice advocate,
Hmm.
if we're gonna put it out there like that. Um, yeah, and so I've done several film things. I've done like a commercial shoot for McDonald's. A lot of different behind the scenes work in the film industry in Charlotte and Atlanta. Strike at the Wind here, obviously, which is another outdoor drama that's specifically related to our tribe. And yeah. So that's kind of I'm a therapist. I work for an insurance company. I'm a entrepreneur in the making. So I kind of got all kinds of things, but my
Yeah.
main focus is spirituality, to be honest.
Well, that was another too. Like for a while, I just kept watching you do so much different stuff, and I was like, man, she's active out here. She's out here, man. Like, let's fucking go. So it was like there was times when it was like I was getting lists together, and it was like it's just not right. Like there's some people whose interviews like even now I still want to do, but it's like the
Mhm.
timing's not right. There's something they're working on it, and let it
Mhm.
flourish a little bit. But I do want to start. I do want to kind of dial it back a little bit. And where did it start? Because I remember you as a girl who sang and she did all the plays. Like our local plays, we would pack fucking amphitheaters full of people in there, and these were like big things. They were big. So where did that start for you? Like where was it born at?
There was this one play in seventh grade at Pembroke Middle.
Mm.
That, from what I can remember, that was the first play I ever did. Now, if we want to get real deep with it, my mama told me I was conceived at Strike It and Win.
Wow.
So I think it was put into my blood then. But
Hmm.
if I had to go by my own experience, in seventh grade there was a Christmas play that we did, and I was an evergreen tree. And I just remember having to like stick my branches out and say, I'm a strong tree.
Hmm.
And in my English class, I remember having an assignment, and we said, what are we going to, do in life? And I made it abundantly clear in seventh grade that I was going to be an actress when I grew up.
Wow.
And from there, everyone just kind of knew that, Kayla is into acting. So much so that like my senior, like, what singular superlatives are, like where you get
Mhm.
the names. I was drama queen. Now I was no drama. I was not the girl who was out here doing
No.
it, but it was because I was acting all the time, and
Mhm.
my classmates decided that was the right one. So
Yeah, no,
that's how
you were
it
never,
started.
you were never causing no drama, dude. You're out of
No,
all those kids at that
never.
school. No way, no way, no
Like, if anything, I'm like solving drama all over the
way.
place,
Hmm.
you know? So, yeah, that's where it got started, seventh grade. And then in 11th grade was the first time I did Strike at the Wind.
Mm.
And I was a citizen, and I was Polly, and I was Rhoda's understudy my first year.
Explain "Strike at the Wind" for people who may not understand. Explain "Strike at the Wind."
Right. So, Strike at the Wind is an outdoor drama that is specifically related to our Putch's and mine hometown hero. Or what do we call you here?
I don't know. I don't know. It was between Ronald Putch and my little
Okay.
brother.
So Putch is good. Okay, so where Putch and I are from, we have a hometown hero called Henry Berry Lowry, and it's basically timed during uh, the Civil War, and the Indian lost the right to vote, and there was a lot of like local politic corruption and things like that. And it's basically like a Robin Hood story of, kind of steal from the rich and give to the poor, because what were the rich doing? They were using legal reasons to steal from us. So we just kind of started taking stuff back, and then uh, it's become a legend in our hometown. So I got one of the principal roles, and then I became the female lead character, Rhoda's understudy.
Hmm.
And I always wanted to play Rhoda, and I never got to. I never
Yeah.
got to play Rhoda, but I was the leader, which was, for some reason I keep getting picked being picked at roles that are like Native American spirit guides type deal. And I'm like, if that's not me, I don't know. So I get to go in these places and just be who I am naturally. And,
Mm.
and that's the beauty of it is I keep getting roles that I'm already living my life in doing. So it's real cool actually.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask too, like, how do you prepare? Like, how do you even? Because I know for dancing, you practice your step and you just do it over and over and over again. But for acting, you're not only remembering lines, but there's like certain, I don't know if you know, like the gestures of your body and these afflictions of the words itself. Like, you know what I mean? Like the tones. So, like, you got to get into it. So,
Right.
so that's cool. That's cool.
Um really it depends. So like when I was Polly, Polly has a moment where her soon to be husband actually dies. So when I was prepared, I would have to prepare for that moment every night. And I would have to trigger some type of feeling that would actually make me want to cry or make me upset or frustrated. And so that way, when I had to scream, it was like a blood curdling scream.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
intense, and yeah, and people knew that I was just devastated. I was traumatized at that point. Um, to be more of like the spirit guide type deal, my preparation's more energetic beforehand. So
Mm.
when I was doing the Lost Colony with Strike at the Wind, it actually wasn't hard to prepare at all because it was more learning the lines. You've got several long paragraph monologues that you need to learn. Once I had those lines down, I was able to just speak eloquently and beautifully, and I was just able to do it. It was just fine. All I had to do was stand there on a stump and speak. Well, with the Lost Colony, this character was much more involved. And so I would stand. I was so imagine our boxes here. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
that those are two doors that open from the center, right?
Okay.
So the other native cast they had a powwow going on and they were out there dancing and jamming and like three-quarters of the way through, bam, these doors open up and then there I am, the spirit guide to tell the whole story, right? And God, it was my shining moment, Pudge. It was like that was the moment for me. I was like, I knew I made it because I have a set of doors opening, and here I am. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't ask for more in life, right? So to prepare for that, I uh I would stand behind those doors and I would allow my throat chakra to be already healed. I would allow my performance to be open and vulnerable because I really did have to elicit emotions from the audience too. And then as an empath, I can actually feel the emotions of the audience too. So I would actually pull on that as well
Mm.
and say, I, I would pull like positive energy or uh, yeah, basically positive energy from them and say, I allow this performance to be miraculous and magnificent. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was getting my mind and my body right to step into that to trigger those feelings. It's all about triggering the emotions, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm. That's yeah, because I know I will. I won't say I know the feeling, but there's a similar experience like with battling. Like when I'm out dancing and I'm battling, there's a certain emotion that I can feel off these people standing around me, and it's
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, that's what you like, okay, like so
Right.
you're kind of going with it, like you go with that
Hmm.
same feeling, whatever you're bringing at that moment.
Right. Like, oh,
Um,
so you bring in this baby. All right. I got
yeah,
it. I'm gonna match you and then I'm gonna do it better.
yeah, yes, exactly. Um, and for people, hometown, Pembroke, North Carolina. You're right,
Mhm.
Scuffle Town. We're wild out here.
Scuffletown
Um,
soldiers in the house.
yeah, we're wild out here, okay. And so there was also a lot though, so small city, you're even doing Strike at the Wind, right, which is our thing. Like that's always a thing. Hey, are you gonna go see Strike at the Wind? Hey, you're gonna go see Strike at the Wind? Like every year it's happening.
Every year, like it's a surprise what is going
Yeah.
to
But it's just like it's our thing to do, It's like
Yeah.
damn near like Lumbee homecoming, and on that, it's like you've also done a lot with Lumbee, which is Pembroke is the capital of Lumbee country.
Hmm.
Um, Tell people a little bit about that because I remember powwows and that's where it started. I first seen it, so you did a lot. You did a lot.
Yeah. So growing up, my family in particular didn't really have they weren't we weren't really in touch with the cultural side of being native, right? So growing up, I knew about Strike at the Wind. I actually wanted to be in Strike at the Wind, but until I actually became my own person and could drive and do all of that, I wasn't really able to participate in culture. So the minute that I got the chance to, I did. So I immediately got into powwows, started dancing women's traditional, started going to culture classes, all of that. And like I even started placing too. Like I went to Richmond Powwow at like probably my third or fourth contest ever and got third place. So
Mm,
I was, really beginning to dive deep into the culture. And then life began to happen. So I had to start working, or, got involved in cheerleading and extracurriculars and acting and all that. So culture then began to kind of take a back door. Not culture as much as powwows.
yeah.
I kind of began to shift out of that as I got more into college. But then once I got into college, being native was a thing then.
Mm,
Um, for me, I just always was. It wasn't like I was living culture or I was being traditional. I was just being Indian. I was just being Kayla and being around Indians and doing Indian shit, right? So
mm-hmm.
then when I got in college, being Indian became a thing. And so I started learning more. Like I learned, my own aunt taught the Lumbee history class at the college, and she was actually the director of the American Indian Studies program. I didn't even know this until I was in college,
Mm,
um, which is it's that weird disconnect that we have, that walking in two worlds that we do.
yeah.
It, it's how did I not know that my aunt was the director of the American Indian Studies program, right? So then I took her class and I got to learn more about our actual history and our foundations and all of that goes into it. And it kind of college reignited a spark for me. So then I transferred to Catawba College
Mm,
and and somehow did it at just the right time because when I got to Catawba, their mascot was the Indians. So they
ooh.
were the Catawba Indians, and I was a cheerleader. So they had a big old totem pole out there on the football field, and they would play that song, um, da, 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 da,
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the whole time they'd be doing this,
Mm.
the
The tomahawk chop.
tomahawk. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And as a cheerleader, I was supposed to be standing there and cheering it on, but I would stop and I would put my hand on my hip and I would like look at the whole crowd in shame,
Yeah.
like what are y'all doing and why are you doing this and am I offended? Like how do I feel about this, right? So then I became the token Indian at
Mm,
at that school. And at the time I didn't realize it. At the time I was just, thinking, oh, like they see me, they see my value, they see what I can bring. So they want me to I had like 5 different jobs at that school. I worked in their admissions and financial aid office. I worked specifically with their transfer students, and they like put me in their brochure and like all kinds of stuff. They wanted to put me everywhere. And so that was my first encounter with like token Indianism.
Mm-hmm.
And then as life carried on, I began to understand that the spiritual principles that I actually live by are very similar to what our ancestors believed in living with the flow of nature, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of waking up with the sun, going to bed with the sun, and um, eating off the land, eating with your hands, you just very natural processes. And so I finally was able to find a balance to where I I could still just be Indian without Indian being a thing, or
Mm-hmm.
or my value or self-worth coming from being an Indian, um, to actually being able to live my life, stand by my principles, participate in my culture. Because as I began to learn from people, I began to learn from people like Kaya and Reggie, and some people at the tribe, some people in the Mr. Earl and the ceremony circles for the seasons that we would do. Um, I was given. Have I ever told you my Indian name?
No.
My Indian name is Hedainya, which means Lady of the Sun.
Oh,
And is that not, now that you know me now, isn't that so fitting?
yes, it is. Yes, it
Right?
is.
When I got that, I was 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And I thought it was beautiful. But like he had to take time to, he had to ask me questions. He had to get to know me and my personality. And then he had to take time and sit on it, meditate on it, communicate with spirit about what it should be. And it was so perfect, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everything, my whole life has been in a flow,
Mm-hmm.
in a divine timing type flow, and I never knew. I never
Yeah.
knew until now, looking back. And it's native. My native culture has been a part of it, and it's led me along the way. Because then, eventually, I finally got into Strike at the Wind and got involved in our history and the things that make us emotional about our history.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when the Lost Colony opportunity presented itself, I was like, I have to go. It was almost like I had a mission.
Mm-hmm.
I had a mission, and I actually became, it's what I found out is, because this play is on federal land, it every season will be recorded in federal history. So
Mm.
literally, not even knowing it, I made history. I was
That's
the
cool.
the first ever. This was the first time they've ever had a storyteller, and it's the first time the storyteller's ever been a Native American. And I don't think it's the first time that this role has been a woman, but it's the first time it's ever been a Native American storyteller, a female Native American storyteller. There you go. Um, a- and so it's the first time we've ever had native cast and native roles, and there was a lot of firsts this year and history being made for real. And it's recorded. It's not only is it in print, but it's also in video. So it's archived now. It's we're in history. That cast that we took up there was, man, it was a challenging out the ass, but also a rewarding experience. Just thinking about it makes me want to smoke.
Well, yeah, because cool. Because I did want to kind of get into a bigger part that I wanted to definitely talk to you about is knowing. So now that we kind of, at least everybody who's going to listen to this for the first time, kind of has an understanding of who you are now, what you got going on, right?
Y'all know me real well now.
So, but and I do want to talk to you about like, well, I want these two parts to tie in. Is you are doing work with, you know, spiritual healing and all this, like, you know, mental health and wellness. I see it, right? And you're really advocating for it, and I see that. Like, you you find people who you can see the disingenuousness of it,
Right.
right? Like there's a sales pitch happening while they're saying all these like key phrases, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And also what you're doing and have done around our community, because people who may not know, Pembroke is like that area in Robeson County as a whole is usually in the lower parts of like safety zones, you know what I'm saying, every year.
Hmm.
So even though, yeah, I had a great childhood, there was definitely a lot of shit going on.
Absolutely.
Um,
So much trauma here.
yeah. So how how do you see that? Like, well, I guess that's a good way just to even start it off. Is like, how do you see that affecting people coming out of that area? Because there's not a lot of people like you, and like myself or other, you know, Josh Oxendine, shout out Josh, Alexis Jones, shout out. You know, they're and you can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, really, in my eyes, because they're coming from an area that's shit. It's a shit. It's when it comes to people stepping out and becoming actors or activists or fighters or, you know, whatever.
Professionals,
Hmm.
successful professionals, period. Um, I've been wanting to put this on Facebook and I just haven't, but Lumbee crickets is real.
Mm.
It's real, and it's not, it ain't even just Lumbees, it's that poverty mentality.
Explain
That,
that, lumpy crickets. I've heard that. I've heard that before. I've only heard that I think like once or twice. But explain more.
yeah. So have you ever heard the phrase crabs in a bucket?
Yes.
So Lumbee crickets is just the exact same way.
Mm.
So the rhetoric behind it is, if you were to take crabs and put them all in a bucket, or if you take crickets and put them all in a bucket or in a jar or something, there are going to be those that begin to critically think, and they begin to work their way on how to get out of the bucket. And as
Hmm.
they're getting close to the top, there's another crab or another cricket pulling them down. And so from that, it's so real.
Hmm.
It's people saying, I don't believe in you for this. Or people saying, why would you want to go and do that? Or speaking negativity over my projects, or, having to learn not to talk about them ahead of time, or get excited because people will spew some shit all over it.
Hmm.
Um, and as well as I've seen where it's been ingrained in us to it's not only been ingrained in us that home is safe, but I can tell you, going out into the world, there is an inherent safety here
Hmm.
that I didn't realize was there until I left. So outside of Robeson County, or even in the Outer Banks, I'm not considered Indian, right? If I go out into the world, I'm half black, half white, half Hispanic, half white, half Hispanic, half black. People speak Spanish to me, or they believe that I'm everything else but what I am. And so you get asked all kinds of weird, crazy questions. You get called weird, crazy names. Like, I was working at a restaurant one time, and the man, I was living in a real hick town for a little while. And the man, he comes up to the register where I'm training and talks to my manager. And he's like, "So, how's it going with the Negro?"
What?
There's a
The
whole
audacity.
restaurant of people people standing beside me, people in line, and he's just like, so how's it going with the Negro?
Jesus
And I had to
Christ.
serve this man and smile and be nice.
Mm-hmm.
So there's situations like that you don't deal with that at home.
Yeah.
You don't like being in the Outer Banks around. It's we can talk about anything here, right?
Yes.
Talk about privilege and all that kind of shit.
Yes.
Um, so not only is Lumbee crickets real and the shit you get from home, but also sticking out in a crowd when you look different than the rest of the crowd, um, you draw attention. And
Mm-hmm.
like, man, the people in Manio were trying to say that the Indians protested and they did a sit in or whatever, and like our girls got like jobs at regular department stores and they were being treated like shit. And so to go into the world where white people live is hard because they're not safe.
Mm.
And
Whoa.
I don't think that they realize that they're not safe because they assume we're not safe. They don't give us the benefit of the doubt of being good people.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest challenges I had of leaving home because I'm back here. I'm back in Roberts County. I went to Charlotte, moved, left my home, everything, uprooted everything, rented a room. The people I lived with were horrible. One of the people that I lived with was a cop.
Mm.
And the cop, talking to his wife, who was my friend, made a joke like, yeah, I'm down here with the colored. I was living in his home and he was comfortable enough doing that when me and his wife just had a conversation about something like that the day before.
Do you think that might be like a see because I got to be devil's advocate. Maybe it's the people. Maybe it's the people where they're from. Do you think now? And also to a question, like, do you think what? How do you think and feel that the area people are growing up in is really affecting them? Like,
I,
especially once
I
we become
think
adults.
I think the area completely affects them, and so the microaggressions change based on the area. The
Okay.
overall general theme doesn't change.
Hmm.
It's just the idiosyncrasies of how they decide to treat you based on these particular actions that they decide
Hmm.
this or that. So, yes, you're right. It is the specific people and how they were raised and those specific situations.
Hmm.
But those specific situations translate from the coast to inland to the mountains.
Hmm.
I've seen it all across the board. I've seen it in different states. So it's yes, and I think it's both and. I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and. I think that there is an ingrained, inherent um, ideology that gets put in from society into our
Hmm.
brains, and people react off of that because of lack of exposure.
Hmm.
So they don't give me the benefit of the doubt of being a good person until they actually expose themselves to me and get to know me. But they don't feel safe enough to do that because of what they've been taught is true. When they actually get to know me and they see my intelligence, or they listen to me, they listen to 5 sentences come out of my mouth and they've changed their perspective.
Boom. In most states, if you're Native American, you are considered African American. My man,
Exactly.
my man Jordan Locklear. Thank you. Always tuning in, my boy. Thank you so
He's
much.
exactly right. I'm never native anywhere I go.
Yeah.
Even in Manio, the cops got called on us, like on one of our people, saying that Mexicans was smoking weed in the parking lot.
Ah,
In
no, yeah.
Manio, where there is like cult-like culture around the lost colony and the
Mhm.
native story and all that, you know?
I've been really because I've been really waiting to get somebody like who knows about native like native shit, like you know what I mean? Because I'm hoping that it starts to change, but we are seriously invisible. Like when it comes
Completely.
to a lot of things, like even now, MIW is running around, and no one ever talks about that. Like, when's the last time you even seen these fools on a commercial, like, or some ad running or somewhere? Like, I really feel like their shit gets repressed. Um,
But I'm gonna tell you what I think though. So just like there was because I see patterns, especially universal patterns, especially patterns of society. I tend to pick up on patterns before people do, and I think we're about to be riding a native wave. So
mm,
just like we have had the Black Lives Matter movement and then the Asian hate movement and all of that, the we've got Deb in the Department of Interior now, and so she's bringing more awareness. The awareness is coming,
mm.
um, but like as all grassroots movements take time, like it's more prevalent around the state, then it'll become around the other states, and then it'll eventually get around the country. And I'm seeing that because like I just did an audition for Marvel. They're
Oh,
Yeah, Disney and Marvel are looking for Southeastern natives. And so, I submitted, right? Like, baby, there's a wave. I'm about to ride it.
Disney, we're fucking here. We're ready. We're waiting on you guys. We'll
Waiting
holler at
on
you
you, baby.
later.
Shout out Disney.
Shout out Disney, real talk, dude. Put that on Squanto, cuz. Oh
Telling
my
you.
god. Wow. Ah.
Yeah. So the wave is here, and our people just got to get on it to ride it. The thing is we don't ever know resources.
Hmm.
That's it. That's the thing, is resources. Access to
So
resources.
so your mass you're there's a you have a massive resource that you're giving away now, which is the knowledge of people being able to take care of what's going on in here.
Right.
And and up here, like all that. I feel like people nowadays, I don't want to say people because I don't want to generalize, whatever.
Right.
But the people I've came into contact with, especially Pembroke,
Yeah.
is small community. They already have this feeling of can't make it out of a small town. I'll never be noticed. Then you have kids like me who grew up like, damn, dude, like no one ever talks about Native Americans. Like in any conversation, we're never there, dude. So you're saying even the area you live, the people you're around, it's hurting, like it's hurting you. What is a step for somebody to take so that they can get themselves up and start moving?
There's so much self-help stuff on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that, like, finding some motivational speakers that you resonate with and
Mm-hmm.
listening to the advice they give and applying. There's things, it's application. There's things that we know to do, there's things that we already know in our brain, ready, willing, know the process, know the steps, ain't got to think about it. All you have to do is act. You can start there.
Hmm. Hmm. Who's your go-to motivational speaker?
Matt Kahn
Matt
and
Kahn.
Teal Swan.
Hmm.
So Matt Kahn, he he always gives the most loving perspective and breaks it down to the bare bones, and he has been the single-handed, he's been my guru basically. He has single-handedly been the person to help me understand myself and the way that I think, and or me experiencing something like emptiness and thinking that it's depression and sadness. But it's like, no, you've healed your trauma. There's not something nagging at you.
Mm.
You're fine. You're okay. But you aren't used to this, so you don't think you're at peace. When in reality, if you look at it on paper, I'm doing amazing. And yet I feel empty. Well, I'm realizing the emptiness is like I am nothingness. I am the void. I am, all that is. I'm a
Mm.
vessel of where energy can flow through and to everyone. Like that's what that is. And I don't have to be sad about it because it's the meanings that we make out of things that
Oh
we're
yeah.
actually upset about or triggered by. It's not even, always the thing um that actually happened. It's not the actual act. It's what we make it mean about ourselves that actually does us in and creates our destructive behavior from there.
Yeah, like
So
I would tell people with breakups, like what makes you think that you're, exempt to such brutality? Sure, they cheated on you. They broke up with you, dude. You're not exempt from it. We all go through it.
and everyone thinks that they don't deserve heartbreak,
Hmm.
but heartbreak is our biggest, if we let it be, it's our biggest friend because it takes us from complete disempowerment to complete empowerment. It takes
Ooh.
us through the full scale, grief included.
Hmm.
No one, the only thing that, the only reason people separate grief and heartbreak is because that person's still alive.
Oh,
But
okay.
there's really no difference. My
Mm.
my ex, I've spent the last year and a half grieving him as if he's been dead
Yeah.
because he's no longer in my life and I have to cut all attachments and it's very hard to do that and it's like you have to be dead to me in order for me to move on.
Yeah.
And so no one is exempt from grief at all. We all have all these emotions we have to experience. You're not exempt from anything.
Hmm. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine like how my mom and dad was, where they went through what they went through and then to have to see each other consistently. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, that
They
sucks.
And on top of that, they weren't allowed to express emotions the way we are now. They didn't necessarily have all the safety nets that we do now.
Hmm.
They had to hold emotions more within and suffer internally more. And no wonder we had a hard time sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Hurt people hurt people,
Hurt people, and
Hmm.
healed people heal people.
They do. They do. And so your podcast, what your you have so many projects, but of all the projects, this one
And
is I
and and I think I'm doing nothing at all.
no, no, no. If if anything, there's always a couple people I look back and I'm like, damn, like they got busy, like busy, busy. And this is no discredit to anybody back home. I love you guys, everyone who's out there working hard. I love you guys. But
Right.
there,
Like my success is not a determinant of the lack of your success because you're comparing apples to oranges.
yeah, or even, dude, this is just what you wanted to do. These type of things. This is what you feel like you were
Yeah.
born
These have been my
for.
passions.
Yeah, and if your passion is fucking doing, teaching kids algebra or fucking working on a car, like that's not to say that you're not successful. As long as you're
Right.
happy. And to me, quite frankly, you are successful. You're doing something you love. Like there's people who are miserable in their jobs, fucking miserable. And
Exactly.
So for you with this project, how are you feeling about it? Like, I know you've sent me some episodes. I've been able to look through them, and you look super happy as you're doing it. How
Yeah.
does it feel? Where are you hoping to see it go?
Um, I would love to see it. as- My alignment sessions, I feel, are so special. I've been doing these with people now for well over a year, and when I tell you I get excited every time those cards come out and they're aligned in such a perfect way with such a perfect message in such the right time. So when you see that reaction out of me, it's completely genuine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold anything back. Like, the third episode that I just did, I was like sitting there and I was holding myself and I was like, I feel like I'm in church right now. And I cried a little bit on camera and everything. So with that much good energy and alignment and satisfaction and passion, I think it'll skyrocket. Actually, if I'm being honest, I think right now I have 31 followers or subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that it will align itself to who it's supposed to, and I'll gain a following from there, and it'll come in an easy and effortless manner.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I'm, staying true and authentic and, putting out there good work and good blessings, and it reaps good karma.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't have to work for it. It flows.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with this, people are like, oh, you do your little podcast. It's like, yeah, okay, Mr. Little. Like, I know you've experienced that, and it's like,
Hmm.
you know what, dude? My 31 followers is 31 more than I had when I started.
That's
So
it.
that's a dub. You know what I mean? Come
And
on, bro.
I've got, views. Like, I've got like 100 and some views on one of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is it's just starting, from here. Like, just putting it out there, just getting the energy going. I'm 3 in, and like, I'm 3 in, and I've already found someone who wants to help me with the marketing side of it, wants to help me with someone else who wants to help me with some other things to deal with it, like all the behind the scenes work. The universe is bringing me the people and the resources that I need to keep me motivated,
There you go.
and someone to help me, send it to people. Like, I'm sitting here like copy and pasting it to people in my Facebook, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it grassroots, baby, grassroots.
God damn, it's fucking hard out here for a
It
pimp, man. I mean,
is.
trying to run a podcast, people don't understand. Oh.
I'm telling you, and you got to be entertaining, but also real.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to think about as you're doing it, but also enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that's why the
That's You have to enjoy it.
smoking section, blaze it, have a drink, and let's just chill. And it'll, I for myself, like I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I don't want to be because people are like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, oh, whatever. Oh, like Joe
Right.
Rogan. Like, nah, I'm not like Joe Rogan. I'm just literally talking, dude. Um,
Yeah.
Smoke a J, drink, let's loosen up. It's not that serious. And even if it had a million thousand followers and all the shit, it's not that serious, bro. We're
Right.
just here talking. I don't even know
It's
what I'm
just a
saying half the time.
conversation.
Yeah. Half the time I'm so fried, I don't even know where I'm sitting at. Like, dude, what's like?
Right. Hey, it's
But
your
it makes
world.
me
I'm just
happy.
living in
It
it.
it makes me happy, and I'm glad to see that this culmination of all these things have like led to this point, and it's extremely fitting. It fits your personality type that I've known since the heydays. And it's tight to see another Lumbee coming up. I'm fucking down for my Lumbees, man. Like
And
I've really, and I say this publicly all the time. I've given up supporting other groups. I've given up supporting all these fucking BLM, ALM, Blue Lives Matter,
mhm,
all of them matter. I don't give a fuck no more about none of that. I support your movement and I hear you in your struggle, absolutely. But my people also have a struggle too, and I just don't see anybody helping us. Like Lumpies fight amongst ourselves enough, let alone all of us as a group, the whole wagon. And
Yeah.
it's so for me, when it comes to Native American and all that, Lumpy to the fucking core, dude, and it makes me happy to see you doing what you're doing, like for real, for real.
Well, so two things on what you said. First thing, I it's weird for me, but I also really appreciate you saying that like I'm on the come up. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Because I don't like even think like that. Like I'm just your normal average person doing normal average everyday shit. So to say and think and have the conversation like, oh, you're on the come up, which is completely true and
Mhm.
correct. Like it's like who me? I'm on the come up. Like I'm just here for the strike at the wind. Like I'm here
Mhm.
UNCP theater, whatever, community
Mhm.
shit. But like, no, like I, like you're seeing it today. Like I'm claiming it. Like shit's about to go down in my life. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know the path. All I know is I'm ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. I got me intact. I got my
Mhm.
emotions intact. I've got, I mean, I've had 50 and 70-year-old white men look at me and tell me thank you for fussing them out and telling them about their privilege because I can articulate that well. That is
Mhm.
something to be proud of,
Mhm.
and I get to put that out there to the world, show people that it's possible to be able to stand firm, um, uh, stand firm, and also be a kind person.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you off, but you're going to know I love you though. Like you're
Exactly.
going to feel my love as I talk to you about how you're fucking up right now.
Mhm.
And I'm just real with it. And it's this real, true, raw authenticity is what we got to pick up.
Yeah, there's you since high school, and you were saying it even before, like 5 jobs during college. You've always been busy, and I on the come up is really an understatement. Like when you when you when you have the discipline that's been exuberated over years, you know what I mean, and when just the drive, the curiosity for it, like what can it do? You know, a million people are gonna look at that Marvel goddamn application and say, it'll never be me, right?
Right.
And then there's people like yourself, myself, putting with dance auditions and this shit. We say, why not me? Why not me? Like, why not me? Like, I can
Right.
do that too, bro. Like, so to see you going for it, it makes me like, it makes me so excited. It makes me so excited. So tell people a little bit more about your podcast too, like what it's about, like where, like what does an episode entail?
Okay. So before I answer that, you want to know something funny that I just realized?
What's that?
It was Adrian posted it on Facebook to, I don't know, either Jolene or Jossie. And whatever that Disney thing that she posted on Facebook, that's what I did. And then all of a sudden, Marvel emails me back. And I mean, like, I've got an email that says, we want you to audition. And
Wow.
I'm just like, what?
Wow.
Even if I don't get it, I now forever have an email from Marvel that says, we want you. And
You.
that's as far as it's got to go. The rest, it don't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
we want you. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's that's all that matters to me. So, shout outs to Adrian for posting,
Shout.
to listening to following her impulses, listening to her inner guidance, posting it on Facebook. I just happened to see it on Facebook. That's synchronicity. That's how the universe works.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, me making those connections just like that is kind of what an episode is like. When so the podcast is actually called The Essentials with Charlotte and Kayla Jean. And so another friend of mine from college is my co-host, and her name's Charlotte Cassidy. And so we have several episodes on there that, we talk about. Gosh, I've given a lot of like crazy dating stories that I've experienced. Um, I typically do some type of some type of energy clearing of some sort.
Mm.
The cards that I do, I use this healing mantra deck that Matt Kahn made,
Okay.
and the affirmations on these cards are actually like, think about it like, how you have to code in computers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So energetically, there are phrases that are actually downloads, like you would have it in a code on a computer for a certain function to happen, a certain awareness to open up, a certain energy cord to dissolve, or something to that effect. But it actually like changes you. It clears cellular memory, it clears trauma at a cellular level, things like that. So as you say the phrases, you're actually receiving healing, and you can actually feel it. It's very experiential, like you
Mm.
experience it. So that's how you know it's real, and it's not like no, you know, the nonsense. I'm not just making it up. This is actually, happening in real time. And I can always ask a question and pull out a couple cards if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right. So what you want some energy for? What kind of question would you have? Like, like I've done it for my job before, right? I'm like, what energies do we need to support us in getting our enrollment numbers?
Okay.
In meeting our goals and getting our providers. What energies do we need? And I do those alignment sessions for me and my coworkers. Or like, what energies do I need to make my podcast successful, or whatever. So what
Let's do
energy
one on the
would you like
podcast.
to
Let's do one
receive?
for the podcast. We'll do one for the podcast.
Okay,
Oh,
so
this is exciting. Let's go, people.
I know, I'm so excited. All right, so what energies does Putch need in order to make sure his podcast is successful? Oh, I'm so excited, Putch.
I'll write this down, matter of fact.
Yes, you should write these phrases down, and you should say them. You should say them at least 5 times. And I say that in order to represent fifth dimensional unity consciousness.
Ooh.
It's just symbolism, symbolism and synchronicities.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where the world's moving to. Like, the whole world's about to have a spiritual awakening.
Mm.
The North Node just moved. Within the last week or two, and everyone's about to go through it. There's about to be a whole lot of trauma being cleared. So
Ooh, I'm
you saw it here
excited.
first. You saw it here first. You should go back at 58:38 and record what I just said,
Mm-hmm. I am. I
and
am.
then watch it happen. Like, it's not like I predicted it. It's about to be common knowledge. It is common knowledge, and if you follow astrology at all, but everybody's about to wake up. Like, we're really like, it's going down. That's just how I feel. Like, okay, what energy does Putch need in order to? Oh no, that is definitely your card. What energies does Putch need in order to make his podcast successful? Well, 3 just flew. Let me go grab them real quick. But so far, we've got amplifying abundance, illuminating the truth, honoring adversity.
Ooh. Honoring adversity.
These are great energies. So there's 6 right there. I think that's great. I think that's a good amount. And there's one on the bottom of the deck, which is the overall energy of the read. So, okay. So the first card that you got is discovering happiness.
Discovering happiness.
And it's actually kind of perfect because it says the mantra is, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am.
Oof.
Right? So you literally just talked about how you wanted, like, we're here just talking. We're here just talking. There ain't nothing else going on besides talking. We're just talking. And this is the name of us just talking. And so that's exactly what you're doing, is you're allowing this for yourself and for your audience. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am.
I like that.
So we need to say that 5 times. And you're going to feel it in your body. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. And also, audience, feel free to say it as well. It's going to fit in your lives too, most likely. You're all here for a reason.
I allow myself to be content exactly as I am.
I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. You feel it? Right? Like,
yeah.
It's real. It's
like
real.
I wrote it down.
And you know what? And writing it is also another level of putting it into your cellular memory as well. So there's a whole nother healing just because you wrote it. So with you allowing everyone to be content exactly as they are, people really appreciate that. And so you allow this exchange of appreciation between people. And that's the next card, of allowing appreciation.
Allowing appreciation.
And it's really actually kind of perfect too. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it.
Ooh, the value of my life increases. And I appreciate everything in it.
I appreciate everything in it. Like, I just felt that in my whole entire mid back.
Oh my God. And I've like said it at least 7 times since I've heard it. Oh, the value of my life increases when I appreciate everything in it.
Each time I appreciate everything in it. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. And so, like, even if we like break that down for a second, like, when the value of my life increases. So we're talking about how to increase the podcast, right? That's the whole purpose of this, right? And this is life. We're just talking. We're sitting here being content exactly as we are, just talking. And by just talking, we are setting the intent by let every word that comes across this podcast be a catalyst of abundance. You know, it's with every word spoken, the value of this podcast increases.
Yes, it does.
And you get to appreciate everything in it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful.
Yeah.
All of it. We get to, we have, not have to, you don't have to do anything, but you must appreciate everything in order
Mhm.
to even begin to grasp life. Like you have to find that gift within the pain that you're experiencing, because there's always a gift. But you have to literally ask, okay, God, okay, universe, okay, whoever, what's the gift? You ain't even got to address it to anybody. Just say out loud, what's the gift? And it will unfold
Mhm.
every time. So appreciate every experience. Appreciate your, with every conversation, your podcast is appreciating. Not just allowing appreciation, not just between one another, not just emotional appreciation, but increase
An increase.
appreciation.
I like that. I can
I've
fuck with that.
never thought about that card like that. With
Mhm.
every conversation, your podcast appreciates.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's mind blowing to me. Because
Divine.
why? We get to express our free will.
Oof.
We're coming from an authentic place. And the mantra, my choices determine how brightly I shine.
Ooh, my choices determine how brightly I shine. My choices determine how
Choices
brightly
determine how brightly I
how
shine.
brightly I shine.
And choices determine how brightly I shine.
I
My
shine.
choices determine how brightly I
Brightly
shine.
I shine.
My choices determine how brightly I shine.
Hmm. I've never done any kind of card reading before like this, so this is cool.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is cool.
And so, like, I think that is going to speak to, you get to choose the value of the content you bring here. Because although we're just talking, you have control over what you bring to the table.
Mhm.
And what you bring to the table will be a direct reflection. So honor adversity.
Honor adversity. Mhm.
I look down and it's right there. So in the choices that you make, those choices will determine how brightly you shine.
Mhm.
As you make these choices, make sure you honor adversity.
Mhm.
The mantra for this is, a fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete.
Oof. New direction after burning is complete.
A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction
Actually,
once the burning is complete. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete.
I
A
reveal.
fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. Ooh, like that even like warmed me up in a sense.
Mhm.
Like my hands are really cold, but my neck right now is really warm. But it's in bringing awareness and honoring the adversity that people go through and what they experience, and respecting that pain. It creates such a safe space that there's no way success isn't imminent.
Mm.
There's no way
Imminent.
imminent.
That's the word, imminent. Oof. And I will say this, and I think I think you can attest to it too. Is that coming out of Purnell Sweat High School alive is already a huge, huge adversary in completion for a lot of people.
Yes,
And so we're no stranger to what adversary, like, adversity is really out there in the
exactly.
world. Hmm.
And that speaks to being able to honor our own adversity as well.
Hmm.
Honoring ourselves, appreciating ourselves for what we have actually endured,
Hmm.
that we normalized for years. Like this is normal. Like violence is normal. Like, people beating people is normal. Drugs is normal. Like I remember in sixth grade, there was one girl who brought speed to school and was selling it, Yellow Jackets, and
Yeah,
selling it to students, and that was normal. I thought nothing of it because drugs was everywhere around me. That ain't nothing, right? Like
yeah,
that's the thought we have. Not like, oh yeah, what is a yellow jacket, right? Like
yeah,
it ain't even the thing. Like you already know what it is in sixth grade, but honoring that part of us and illuminating that truth. Illuminating that truth is what amplifies abundance, motherfucker.
there you go. Hmm.
It couldn't have been no better.
It couldn't have. No, it could not have.
And so the mantra for illuminating the truth, because we always have to release the outcome in order for it to be successful. We can't want it to be successful, right? I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome.
Oof.
Is that
Ooh.
I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome.
I'm
I
willing to
need
see
I
things
needed
clearly.
this I needed this specific card tonight. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. So no matter the outcome of this podcast, we want it to be successful. We set the intent for it to be successful. We're going to choose, we're going to, make choices for it to be successful. We're going to honor people and give them safe space. And if it's not successful, that's okay too.
That is.
Because it ain't nothing but a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be other things. But
Mm-hmm.
yet we also understand that by illuminating truth, we amplify abundance. And it may not even be an abundance of money, it could be like an abundance of an abundance of conversations, an abundance of moments shared, an abundance of connections made, an abundance of trauma healed, things like that. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now.
Ooh. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright. I deserve it now.
Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now.
This
Abundance
is
is
my
my
birthright.
birthright, and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now.
Crabs in a bucket. There is abundance, my friends.
It's real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got to honor that adversity for sure.
For real. And even just thinking, that this is it's really like first time I've sat down had a card reading like this, and to think that we're doing this on the podcast, and a lot of this is extremely applicable. Not only for myself right now, but I hope whoever decides to listen in and check it out. You know, the variety of all this stuff. maybe even so that you can even hear from me. Some podcasts you get 5 views, 10 listeners or whatever. Some you get 30, 40, 50, 100. It changes. And the abundance is there. You know what I mean? You just got to keep doing what you're doing. The adversity, that's what comes with it. I've
Right.
I've found myself to be comfortable with this shit sucks, and you just keep doing it. No matter how good it gets, it can always be better in my head.
Yeah.
And everything else. That's thank you, thank you, really thank you. There were not only kind words, but to know that they came extremely randomly is, well, they
Right.
were chosen. Just chosen at random for me to hear at this very given and specific moment.
Yeah.
So I,
Divine
I
timing
appreciate it.
is a real thing.
I hope I can make it onto the podcast one day, and I hope you have me on episode 33. I feel like that's my angel number. So hopefully I get to make it on.
And 33 is it's a master number of completion.
Hmm.
Uh you want to know a fun fact about 33? It is all the geometric shapes put together gives the whatever the figure is called. I don't like a dodecahedron type name. That's not the one it is, but that's the type of name it is. If you put all the geometric shapes that are possible together, it creates the one that has 33 sides. And
Oh,
that's the number of all that is.
hmm.
So 30,
Interesting. I never knew that.
yeah. So if 33 is a good number to choose. Like if you want to pick a
Yes.
number, 33 is the one.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. If
All
I could ever
right.
request.
I need to write that down. I'm gonna find a pen, and I'm ADHD, so text it to me too, okay?
I will. I
And in
will.
that way, because I can't find a pen right now because I'm excited. But definitely episode 33, it's yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything that you want before we sign out for the evening? I definitely do want to do a part two because this was fucking great. Yeah, and
Oh,
your
I'd
voice
love
is
to.
powerful. Your voice is powerful, and I want to say before I let you give like a closing statement, I want to say that I've always appreciated you being a good friend, not only to my family, to myself, the people around you, and I really believe that you started to kind of like hit that gear of being inside of your own purpose in life and serving your own while serving others. I feel is part of that purpose, and I see it in you, and I don't think that this is the end, right? I don't think you've reached your max form, but I think you are now in form, and it's cool to see, and it makes me happy to see, especially knowing Lumbee, hometown, all that shit. So please keep going, don't lose faith.
Thank you. That's so
Hmm.
kind. That's so kind. Thank you. It it feels good to be seen. So thank you for seeing me
Of
and
course,
honoring my adversity and
of course.
knowing what my life has consisted of just from me being around you guys. Like, you guys have let's be real, you guys have been an important part of my life in very specific and important areas. So thank you guys for being there as well. And I,
Always.
I absolutely want to come back. I love this shit.
Hmm.
Um, so if I have any closing remarks, higher self speak for me. What needs to be said? Oh, the last card, which is the bottom of the deck, um, which is the overall energy of the reading. It
Ah,
it's creating cooperation.
creating cooperation.
Now, how perfect is this? How perfect is it that we have one more card that we've got to do with just one final message? Holy shit! I love this shit, man. um, more gets a role. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play.
Ooh,
So I guess that's probably the final message. Is actually no. Let me read it. That's going to be even more powerful. Oh, this is going to be good, Punch. This is going to be good. I feel it. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. When cooperation is created, the unity of all is accessed to accomplish more in one moment than any one person can do alone.
mm,
As a creator of cooperation, you are giving others the right to contribute, which only broadens the effect of collective expansion. Once
yes,
cooperation is created, all facades of competition melt away, allowing each individual to feel a renewed depth of self worth by serving a vision greater than any degree of individual gain. This mantra is ideal for enhancing teamwork, transforming family dynamics, and increasing inner peace.
nice.
So
Oh,
that right there was I think the last thing to say is in this moment, that's exactly what we did. In
yeah,
this moment, we created such a cooperation. We've cooperated throughout our lives to get to this moment. Someone is going to see this who needed to hear something tonight, or maybe they'll see the second one and it's going to be an even more powerful message. Or, there's all these different things that can be created from this and that has been created from the alignment that we decided. You never know
yes.
where the energy that we brought tonight to your podcast um, has created a vortex of energy that's going to project outwards and upwards and going to live your best life through it. Is what
Hell
I
yeah.
that,
Hell
that's
yeah.
what I'm predicting. You're going to live your best life through it,
Thank you.
and I'm
God,
so
thank you.
happy to see you grow.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being alive. That's what I tell a lot of people when we cheer. Thank you for being alive, dude. Like
Yeah,
you bring a lot. You bring a lot to people, Kayla, and I can't wait to do this again. Yeah.
I can't wait either, Putz. I love you, honey. Mwah.
Love you.
Now,
I'll,
how do
I'll be I'll be messaging you right now too after all this.
I? Okay, great, perfect.
All right,
Okay,
I got you.
thanks. Bye.